How's it going, guys? Peshcats here. Today we're going to be taking a look at all the Kantai Collection 3 cards that haven't already been revealed for Card of the Day. As for some of the ones that I missed in the first couple weeks, like Fubuki Kai, I'm probably going to do a separate video after for those ones, just a quick recap of the ones that we haven't already done, so that way we have the whole set covered. But anyways, I have these pictures here that were sent to me by the guys at Board Saviors. Singaporean dudes, and from these pictures I was able to get some of the card translations up, and now I'm going to be just giving you guys the translations of the cards and some quick thoughts. So just a quick note about how I'm going to be doing the videos. So I'm going to split it up into two parts. I'm going to do one part for yellow and green cards, and I'm going to do the second part for the blue and red cards, so it's going to be two separate videos. And one more disclaimer before I start is that my translations are only as good as the pictures that Board Saviors have posted. So if their picture's blurry, then like my translation might be off by just a little bit, so sorry about that. But I tried to make these translations as accurate as possible. So hope you guys enjoy. Let's get right into it. Alright, first up, starting with the yellow cards. On the top left, we have Festival Isokaze. She's a 1/04K. Pretty solid, really only going to be playable in the Destroyer deck because she only gains power from every other Destroyer, but if you're playing full field of Destroyer characters, then she becomes a 1/06K, and then she gets plus 15 on the turn she plays, so a solid costless beater, and at the same time she'll have pretty high base power on the opponent's turn. Kazugumo is actually a card that I think is really nice, especially like if you're playing like Soul Rush deck. You can just get extra soul for your characters for no cost. So if you're playing something like Sendai or Ayanami, that's already getting a lot of soul. You can get even more soul if you want to have some fun. But honestly, I think the card is pretty decent on its own as well. It has the same top check effect as the Mickey Brainstormer, but it doesn't have a Brainstorm ability, so I mean, like, you can't have everything. Amagi Kai is going to be really good in a deck that plays the Amagi level 0s, obviously, because having two Amagis in the back row, you're giving up on like other utility, but at the same time, Amagi Kais on your front row are going to be 7k apiece. So if you want to try something like that, it's definitely an option. A really big beater if you have two Amagis. And finally, we have Katsuragi Kai. So it's a 2/1. If you have 4 ship girls on the stage, it becomes a 1/1. And when you level up, it gains Encore Pay 1 for the turn. It's alright, I guess. It's basically like a 1/1 with a 1/1 vanilla with an extra benefit of the Encore. So. But I don't think it'll see play. There's better cards to be playing at level 1. Alright, moving on with the yellow cards. Asashimo Kai in the top left. When you use the backup of this card, opponent mills 3, so you can use this to like cheeky mill out your opponent, win the game by refresh or something, if you want to be a dick. And backup 3k. Top middle, Takanami is a vanilla, 1/0. Top right, Asashimo. It has the effect that like Haruna has, the original Haruna level 3, in that it can encore itself. So like so if this is reversed and you have no other characters in the front row that are rested, then you can pay 1 to move her from reversed to rest state, so she can pay 1 encore herself basically. And because she's a level 0, it's much more likely that she'll be alone on the field in the first 1 or 2 turns. So I still think there's better zeros to play. Just play Inazuma or something. Play something better. The Hishimoshi counter, I think this is kind of like the event that was in IMAS Power Up Set. So what you do is you send this to memory, and then you search your deck for X ship girls, where X is the number of the Hishimoshi in your memory. You add those ship girls to your hand. I think the cool part about this card is that because it's a counter, you can use this to thin out your deck while your opponent's attacking you. So that's pretty cool. And the more you play, the more you get to search. So your initial investment, you go 1 for 1, but every future copy that you're playing of this card, you're getting more and more cards into your hand. Takanami, I think, is a really cool card with its second effect. So first of all, it serves as a beater. If it's alone on your stage, it gets plus 2k, making it a 4k. And then you get to look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, and your opponent doesn't get to know what those cards are, so you could potentially hit confirm them with those 2 cards if you don't see any climaxes there. Or if you do see a climax, then you can, like, let's say you're going to play a 1k1 climax that turn. You can side attack for 1, you know your opponent's going to cancel, like if the climax is on top of their deck, and then you can swing with your other characters for full damage. So, pretty cool card. I could definitely see that being used. It looks like it's common as well. Alright, now we got a couple climax combos for yellow. In the top left, we have Katsuragi. She's a 0/02K. When she comes into play, she gets 15, so she becomes a 35. Her climax combo is with a 2k1, so the climax is going to replace itself immediately, and then her the climax combo ability itself is you discard a character on attack, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add any card to your hand, and then you discard the other one. So the cool thing about this is that, like cards at level 3, where it's like top check X, add 1 to your hand and drop the rest, you don't have to show your opponent what card you're adding, and you can add any kind of card to your hand. You can add an event or a climax as well. So with the climax combo, you end up going even because the climax replaces itself, and the ability is discard 1, add 1. So you end up going even, but you get to hand fix a little bit. The Terazuki, I think, is pretty cool. It's a 1-0 climax combo with the shot, and the climax combo is on attack. You reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a ship girl, you add it to your hand, and she has hand encore. This effect is a lot like the 1-0 Haruna from Tulovru for the animal deck, and it's a reasonable card. The fact that it has hand encore means that you can keep it on the field if you have multiple copies of the climax, and continue to get value out of her climax combo, which is pretty cool. And the climax is for the 2. You have the 2k1 for the Katsuragi, and you have the shot for the Terazuki. Okay. Next up, moving on to the green cards. Top left, we have Bismarck Kai. This is not the one that you need in clock for the level 3. So it's a 1-0-5-5. It's a little bit oversized. It has 2 effects. The first one, when you use an activate ability, it gets plus 1500 for the turn, so it can reach 7k. And when this is reversed, you can't use encore for the turn. So it's not the biggest demerit, and I think the card is it's all right. I covered this in the video with the preview video, the advertisement, and this was one of the cards. Now, top right, we have Kako Kai Ni. When this is front attacked, send this to waiting room. So this is like a more extreme version of the Hamikaze that I covered yesterday for the card of the days video, because this is going to die no matter what. As long as your opponent's front attacking. In exchange for that, it has higher base power by 500. So this is just literally, it's there to just punch your opponent's big cards and then die. But I think there's better cards that you could be running, honestly. It is a heavy cruiser, though, so if you're playing an Atago deck, you could consider using this for that deck. Bottom left, Furutaka Kai Ni. So she has a reveal your hand effect like the original Furutaka counter from KC1. When you play it, you reveal your hand, and if you have a climax in your hand, you can choose an opponent's front row character, and it loses 2k power that turn. So if your opponent opens with a Suicider or a runner, and they don't support the runner with like a global or an assist, then you could potentially just pop the runner on turn 1. Now this does require you having a climax in your hand though, so you have to remember that as well. And you have to reveal your entire hand to your opponent. So if you don't care about revealing your hand, then go for it. But personally, I don't think the card's that good. Then we have Z1 in the bottom right. So this is a lot like Tatata, except you don't get to choose cards from your waiting room. You have to choose a blind marker. When this comes into play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's not a ship girl, rest this. And then you can rest this to blind marker, and then rest it again to put the marker into stock. So what's nice about the card, though, kind of, is that if you play it and then you top check and it is a ship girl, you can immediately put it under Z1 as a marker, and you know it's not going to be a climax, so you're safe there. I think there's better back row that you could be using, though, so probably not going to use that. You can use it in your Germans deck, though. Get some stock. 0-0 Akebono on the left, that's just a vanilla, but you can use it to kill the Kuso Teitoku if you ever see him. Top right, Z1 or Z3 is Y. So I think this card's pretty nice. Global 500, and once per turn, when you use an activate, give a character 1k for the turn. So synergizes with Maya Kaini, which you'll see later on. And really, you can just use it with activate abilities to give any characters that you want a little bit extra buffing if you want extra power. The bottom left, we have Ushio Kaini. When you level up, this gains Encore, pay 1 for the turn. I think this card's whatever, not worth using. Oboro Kai, I think this card's actually pretty cool. We saw a card with the same effect, Minami, from Cinderella Girls 2. So when you play it, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a ship girl character, you have the choice to put it under this card as a marker. So you can leave it on top, and you can effectively just use this as a top check. If this does have a marker, it becomes a 3500 level 1, which is really nice. It doesn't die to Suiciders, obviously, and it's just a decent card. Moving on now. Up top, Hatsushimo Kaini. So this has the same ability as the Mikon Brainstorm from Tulovru 1, minus the Brainstorm part. So when you play this, you can discard a card to take a ship girl from your clock, put it in your hand, and then put the top card of your deck into clock. So this is a discard outlet, and you do get to get something from your clock that you might want. I think probably this is like actually a decent card to use. It's not an Akatsuki type effect. I mean, like, we already have Akatsuki, but at the same time, it's a free discard outlet that lets you replace a card in your hand for something that you might want from your clock. So I could definitely see this card being used as like maybe like a 1 or 2 of. I think it's a decent utility effect. Shokai Kai Ni, unfortunately, not as good in my opinion. So when it comes into play, it gets 15, and you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in the same order. So you can use this to check your triggers, but at the same time, I think you could be running better top check utility, something like Aroma, or what else is there's like other cards that top check as well. So I think the Chokai is just not as good. Bismarck on the left. So this is the card that you need in your clock for the level 3 Bismarck to be early played, and personally I'm not impressed. When you play this card, if your opponent has 3 or more climaxes in your waiting room, you rest this. So this is a terrible card to draw later in the game when your opponent is like halfway through their deck and they've got 3 climaxes out, and you can't even use this to do anything. You can't attack with it. You like really literally the only thing you can do with it in the mid game is clock it for the level 3 early summon. Like, if your opponent just refresh, maybe you can play it to get a hit in, but I'm really just not impressed with the card, and I think that it's just not good. Alright, Z3 in the middle. So when you level up, you can pay 2. If you do, search your deck for a Ship Girl and add it to your hand. I don't think pay 2 to search your deck is worth just like letting this sit there on the field, but at the same time, the second ability is very good. You can rest this to give a Ship Girl plus 1500. You can use this with the Z3's Y, which is the global 5, and then when you use a startup, you give 1k to give a total of 3k power, essentially, to like one character if you wanted, because you have the global 5, you tap for 15, and then you get another 1k from using a startup. So the 2 Z3 cards synergize with each other quite well, but you are giving up on other utility like Brainstorms or like Amagi in your back row if you are playing those 2 cards. Bottom right, or well, no, the right, just the right, we have Maya Kaini. I don't know why I wrote bottom. Once per turn, when you use an activate ability, this gains on reverse blind stock until the end of the turn. So, like I said, this goes well with the Z3 cards, because you're going to be using startups. At the same time, let's say you use like an Ashigara counter on your opponent's turn, because backups are activate abilities. You pay the 1 stock for the backup, and then when you reverse your opponent's character, you get 1 blind stock back. So you eventually turn counters into like 1 less stock if you are able to successfully kill your opponent's character, which is nice. Alright, now for the last few cards for green. We have the 1/1 Graf Zeppelin, so it's 1/1/6k, and it can become a 7/5 level 2 if you have 2 or more other ship girls, which is extremely easy. So I think this is a reasonable card to be playing at level 1. The card profile is a lot like the 1/1 Haruka from Idolmaster and Idolmaster movie, in that like it becomes big and then it makes itself basically like immune to bombs. So pretty decent level 1 card. If you want a 1/1, this is probably the one you're going to want to play. I would probably play this over Yubari. The hard mode medal on the top right, so you can't see because Mike Teo sucks at taking pictures, but it's a 2/2 event. Search your deck for up to 2 ship girls, add them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Very, very simple card ability. In the bottom left, we have Z1's Y. Once per turn, when you use an activate ability, she gets plus X power, where X equals the number of other ship girls on your stage times 500. So again, this synergizes well with the Z3 cards, which revolve around using startups. So you can get buffs, like big buffs on both your turn and your opponent's turn if you're playing this card. Its other ability is that it's an anti-level 3. When this attacks, if the battle opponent is level 3 or higher, then this gets 3,000 until the end of the opponent's turn, which makes it a 10k. This combined with the first ability, when you use Axe, can make it potentially a pretty big wall, honestly. So, pretty good anti-level 3, although I don't think Casey really had any other good anti-level 3 before. Like, it had Zuiho, but like I said before, I don't think Zuiho's that good. And then, the last card for green, bottom right, we have Bismarck's Y. So it's a pay 1 backup for 2,500 power, and then you can pay 1 to salvage a copy of Bismarck's Y from your waiting room. And yes, you can use this card's ability to salvage itself. So you discard it for the backup, and then pay 1 to immediately get back the exact same counter you discarded, even though you didn't already have one in your waiting room. So, yeah. That's going to be it for part 1, and we're going to go to part 2. So, see you guys there.